Khloe Alexandra Kardashian steps onto the Ellen DeGeneres show stage. The atmosphere is charged with excitement, laughter, and a touch of anticipation. The crowd expects the usual, charm, humor, and that unmistakable Khloe energy. But tonight, something different is in the air. Little do they know, this is not just another interview. It's a conversation that will unravel the layers of a woman who has fought through unimaginable struggles, yet continues to rise with strength. When Khloe Alexandra Kardashian walks onto the set of the Ellen DeGeneres show, the energy is light and upbeat. The audience expects charm, laughs, and maybe a glimpse of Khloe's always open personality. Ellen, ever the comedian, is ready to guide the conversation with her usual warmth and humor. But as Khloe takes her seat, she notices the small but meaningful pendant around Ellen's neck, a symbol of strength and resilience. The air in the room seems to shift. What began as a typical celebrity interview is about to take an emotional turn. The studio lights dim, and the soft hum of the audience fades as Ellen steps forward with a smile, introducing Khloe, not just as a reality star, but as someone many people admire for her transparency and resilience. Khloe nods, her expression softening as she gathers her thoughts. Exactly. People have this idea that just because you're in the public eye, everything is perfect, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Behind all the cameras, all the glitz and glamour, it's just me, trying to find my way like anyone else. She pauses, her voice becoming more introspective. I've realized that being in the public eye doesn't make you immune to pain. In fact, sometimes it magnifies it. But you keep going. You have to. The audience, hanging onto every word, feels the raw emotion in her voice. Khloe's strength, despite the vulnerability she's showing, is palpable. Ellen smiles gently, recognizing the power in Khloe's honesty. She leans forward, her eyes reflecting empathy. Ellen, it's so easy for people to think that celebrities have it all together, that they have everything handed to them. But you're right. What the public doesn't see is the struggle, the moments when everything feels too heavy to bear. Khloe takes a deep breath, her fingers gently tracing the necklace she's wearing, as if grounding herself in the moment. Her gaze drifts downward for a moment, reflecting on the weight of the conversation. Khloe, yeah, the hardest part is when you're expected to keep up appearances, to keep being on all the time. But sometimes that's the last thing you want to do. And yet, you don't have a choice. You put on that mask, you push through, because that's what people expect from you. But inside, there are days when you just want to crumble, when everything feels overwhelming. Ellen nods, a look of understanding in her eyes. The energy in the room shifts once again, the usual lightheartedness giving way to something deeper. Ellen's voice softens, filled with compassion. Ellen, but you don't crumble. You keep going. You rise again and again, even when it seems like the world is throwing everything it can at you. Where does that strength come from, Khloe? Khloe's eyes meet Ellen's, and for a moment, there's silence. The answer doesn't come quickly, as if she's still searching for the words, still finding meaning in her own journey. She exhales slowly, her shoulders lifting in a small but deliberate movement. Khloe, I think the strength comes from learning to trust myself, to trust that even in the darkest moments, there's something on the other side. But more than that, it comes from the people who are there for me, the ones who remind me that I'm not alone. They're the ones who help me find my way back when I feel lost. They give me the strength to keep going. The audience, captivated by her openness, can feel the depth of her words. Ellen watches her closely, recognizing the power in Khloe's vulnerability. Ellen, it's so easy to forget that behind the smile, behind the cameras, there are people who need support too. And it sounds like you found that support from those who truly care about you. Khloe nods, her fingers absent-mindedly, playing with the bracelet on her wrist, a subtle but telling gesture that speaks volumes. Her eyes soften as she continues, her voice quiet but resolute. Khloe, I have. And I've learned to lean on faith too. When everything feels uncertain, when I don't know what's next, it's faith that gives me the courage to keep going. It's the belief that there's a bigger picture, that every hardship, every challenge, is somehow part of my story. Ellen's eyes reflect a deep understanding, and she leans back in her chair, absorbing Khloe's words. There's a moment of stillness as the gravity of the conversation sinks in. Ellen, and it's in those moments of uncertainty that you've found your true strength. It's incredible how you've been able to open up about your journey, to share your vulnerability with the world. I think that's what makes you so relatable, Khloe. You show people that it's okay to not be okay, that it's okay to struggle and still keep moving forward. Khloe looks down at her hands for a moment, her eyes shimmering with a quiet emotion. When she speaks again, her voice is filled with a softness, a raw honesty that resonates deeply with the audience. Khloe, I hope so. I mean, I never intended to be an inspiration to anyone. I never thought of myself as some sort of role model. I've just been trying to survive, trying to make it through each day. But if my journey, my struggles can help someone else realize that they're not alone, that they can make it through too, then I've done something right. The audience, moved by her words, watches her with a newfound respect. Ellen nods, her voice steady but filled with emotion. Ellen, you've done so much more than that. You've shown us all that strength doesn't come from perfection. It comes from accepting our flaws, from acknowledging our pain, and from being willing to heal. You've given people permission to be human, to embrace their scars and their stories. Khloe smiles, her face softening as she wipes away a tear that has escaped down her cheek. She nods, her voice steady now, but with a vulnerability that only adds to the authenticity of the moment. Khloe, thank you, Ellen. I just hope that whoever's watching right now, whoever feels like they're broken or lost, remembers that healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a journey. And the most important thing is to keep going, to trust that there's light even in the darkest of times. The camera pulls back, and the audience, visibly moved by the emotional exchange, begins to clap. It's not just applause for Khloe, but for the message she has shared, a message of hope, resilience, and the power of vulnerability. As the applause grows, the camera slowly fades to black, leaving behind the profound words that will linger long after the show is over. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. Khloe takes a deep breath, her fingers still tracing the smooth surface of the bracelet as she gathers her thoughts. Her voice is quiet at first, as if weighing the significance of the question. Khloe, I don't know. Honestly, I think it comes from learning to trust myself. From realizing that even when the world around me feels like it's falling apart, I'm still standing. That's something I never thought I'd be able to say. She pauses, her gaze drifting down for a moment before meeting Ellen's eyes again. And it's also the people around me, the ones who see me for who I am, not just the persona I've built. They remind me that I'm worth fighting for, even when I don't feel like I am. The room feels quieter now, as though everyone is holding their breath, captivated by the depth of her words. Ellen watches her closely, a look of understanding and admiration in her eyes. Ellen, that's beautiful. So it's a combination of inner strength and the support of those you love. Khloe nods slowly, her eyes reflecting a quiet vulnerability. Yeah, I've learned that no one can go through life alone. Even the strongest people need someone to lean on. And when you find those people who really see you, not just the curated version of you, it makes all the difference. Ellen leans in, her tone softening even more. And I imagine that trust, that belief in yourself has been hard-earned. Would you say that's been one of the hardest parts of your journey? Khloe's expression becomes pensive, her fingers now resting on her lap, her body language a little more closed off. She takes another breath, then speaks with an honesty that resonates deeply in the room. Khloe. Oh, absolutely. I've had to learn how to trust myself in ways I never thought I would. For a long time, I let the opinions of others dictate how I saw myself. The criticism, the judgments. It was like I was constantly trying to prove something to everyone, even when I didn't know what that was. But now, I've realized that the only person I need to prove anything to is me. The audience listens intently, feeling the weight of Khloe's words. Ellen, moved by her reflection, offers a warm smile, but there's something deeper in her gaze, an understanding of how hard that journey must have been. Ellen. That's a powerful realization, Khloe. And I think it's something that a lot of people watching right now can relate to. The idea of finding peace within yourself, despite everything else going on around you. Khloe nods slowly, her eyes thoughtful as she continues. The emotion in her voice still present, but tempered with a sense of clarity. Khloe. Yeah. I think that's been the hardest lesson for me. To stop seeking validation from the outside world. To stop trying to be everything to everyone, and instead focus on being true to who I am. It's not easy. There are days when I still fall back into old habits, when I let the opinions of others creep in. But I'm learning that it's okay to not have it all figured out. The room feels heavy with the truth in her words. There's a profound stillness, as if everyone in the audience has been struck by the rawness of Khloe's vulnerability. Ellen, sensing the depth of the moment, speaks gently, her voice filled with empathy. Ellen, and I think that's what makes you so relatable, Khloe. You've shown us that even in the face of hardship, even in the face of judgment, you can still choose to rise. And that's not just strength, that's courage. Khloe smiles faintly, her eyes softening as she takes in Ellen's words. She's silent for a moment, a tear glistening in the corner of her eye. She wipes it away quickly, a small but telling gesture. Khloe. Thank you, Ellen. That means a lot. I never wanted to be a symbol of perfection. I've always just wanted to be real. And if that can help someone else feel less alone, then that's enough for me. The audience, moved by Khloe's honesty, begins to applaud softly, the sound growing as more people resonate with her message. It's not just a standing ovation for a celebrity. It's an ovation for the raw human connection Khloe has shared, for the courage it takes to be vulnerable, and for the strength that lies in embracing imperfection. Ellen, feeling the weight of the moment, nods in appreciation, her voice filled with admiration. Ellen. You've done more than enough, Khloe. You've shown us all that it's okay to embrace our struggles, to embrace our scars, and that's something truly powerful. The room continues to applaud, the sound echoing through the studio. And as the camera pans out, the words linger, carried by the applause. It's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to be real. The moment fades, but its message endures, reminding everyone watching that healing, growth, and strength come from embracing authenticity, even when it's hardest to do so. Ellen's touch is warm, and for a moment the two women share a quiet connection, their eyes meeting in mutual understanding. The audience feels the weight of the moment, sensing the deep emotional shift in the room. Ellen. That's so powerful, Khloe. It's incredible how one person's words, someone we might not even expect, can have such a profound impact on us. It's like they have a way of seeing into our souls, reminding us of the strength we sometimes forget we have. Khloe nods, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. But there's a sense of peace in her voice now, a calmness that wasn't there before. Khloe. Exactly. It was like his words gave me permission to not be okay, to feel everything I was going through without guilt. It made me realize that even the most difficult moments have a purpose, and that maybe, just maybe, I'm exactly where I need to be, even if it doesn't feel that way, Ellen. And that's something we all need to hear. Sometimes, when we're struggling, we feel like we're failing, like we're not living up to some idea of perfection. But what you're saying is that it's in those moments of brokenness that we can find the greatest growth. That's where the real transformation happens. Khloe's voice grows a little stronger, her eyes focused now, her gaze steady. She's no longer just sharing her experience. She's speaking for others who might be listening, who might be facing their own battles in silence. Khloe. Yeah, I think a lot of people think they have to hide their pain, to keep it locked away. But the truth is, we're all human. We're all going through something, and pretending we're fine only makes it worse. The healing comes when we acknowledge the pain, when we let ourselves feel it, and when we open up to others about it. That's where the connection happens, when we stop pretending we have it all together. Ellen, her voice gentle but filled with admiration, leans in a little closer, her eyes filled with compassion. Ellen, you've done something so beautiful, Khloe. By being real, by showing us that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a strength. You've taught us that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love, and that our pain doesn't define us, it refines us. Khloe smiles softly, her hands resting on her lap, fingers tracing the edge of her bracelet again, a small but telling gesture of someone who's grounded in the present moment. Khloe, thank you, Ellen. I just hope that anyone out there who's struggling hears this and knows that they're not alone. We're all going through something, and it's okay to not have it all figured out. But the important thing is to keep going, to keep believing that there's a purpose in the pain. The room, which had been quiet, begins to fill with a soft, appreciative applause. The audience is moved, not just by Khloe's words, but by the authenticity and rawness of her vulnerability. It's a moment of collective healing, a reminder that we're all connected in our humanity. Ellen looks around at the audience, nodding in agreement, her voice full of gratitude. Ellen, I think we all needed to hear that, Khloe. You've given us a gift tonight, reminding us that even in our hardest moments there's a light. That's what real strength is. Khloe smiles, her eyes wet but filled with a quiet peace. Thank you, Ellen. I just want people to know that they're allowed to heal, that they're allowed to be broken and still be whole. The camera zooms out slowly, capturing the warmth and authenticity of the moment as the applause grows. The lights dim slightly, creating a sense of intimacy, as if the world outside has paused just for this moment of reflection, of truth, of healing. As the show progresses, the message lingers in the air, a beacon of hope and resilience. You don't have to have it all figured out. You're allowed to heal. You're allowed to be human. Ellen, with a soft smile, watches Khloe for a moment before speaking again, her voice low but filled with warmth. You've really touched us. Tonight, Khloe, you've reminded us that healing isn't always a straight path. It's messy, it's raw, and sometimes it's unexpected. But it's real, and that's the beauty of it. Khloe, now wiping away the last of her tears, nods. There's a quiet strength in her presence, the kind that comes from facing one's demons and emerging on the other side, still whole, still human, and still worthy of love. Khloe. Yeah, I think that's something I've learned. You don't heal in one big moment. It's the small, quiet moments that make up the journey. The moments when you feel like you can't go on, but somehow you do. The moments when you think it's all over, but then someone, reminds you that there's more to the story. And that's what keeps me going. Ellen's eyes reflect both admiration and understanding. That's what real strength is. It's not about always being strong, always being perfect. It's about showing up. It's about being honest, being vulnerable, and knowing that we're all in this together. You've shown us that tonight, Khloe. The room falls into a profound silence, and even the hum of the studio light seems to fade into the background. There's a deep sense of shared humanity in the air, a collective understanding that everyone in the room, from Khloe to Ellen to the audience watching at home, is connected by the shared experience of struggle and healing. Khloe, still holding on to the truth of her words, speaks once more, this time with a sense of resolution in her voice. Khloe, I think, if anything, I want people to know that they don't have to do it alone. No matter how isolated you feel, there are people who care, who see you, who want to help you heal. And even when it feels like you're at the bottom, there's always something waiting for you on the other side. Something better. And that's what I keep telling myself. To just keep going. Keep trusting the journey. Ellen, with a smile that is both proud and moved, leans back in her chair and nods. You're not just going through it, Khloe. You're growing through it. And in sharing that growth, you've given the rest of us hope that we can do the same. As the words settle into the room, the audience begins to applaud, not just for the emotional depth of the conversation, but for the profound reminder that healing is possible, even in the most unexpected moments. The camera slowly zooms out, capturing the warmth between Khloe and Ellen, as they sit in a shared space of understanding and compassion. The applause grows, steady and genuine, as the studio lights dim once more. And in that moment, the message lingers. It's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to heal at your own pace. You are not alone. Ellen, I think a lot of people, myself included, watch people like you on TV or in the public eye and think you've got it all together. She pauses, her voice growing soft. But you've just shared something so raw, so real, that I think people will really connect with. Because we all have our moments of doubt, our moments of pain. And to hear you say that even you, someone we look up to, can still feel lost. That's comforting, isn't it? Khloe's smile is small but genuine. Yeah, it's comforting. But it's also humbling. I've spent so much of my life trying to live up to this image, this idea of who I'm supposed to be. And I've realized that the more I try to be perfect, the more I lose touch with who I really am. It's not about being flawless. It's about being real. Ellen nods thoughtfully, her eyes softening. And sometimes, the way to truly heal is through vulnerability. It's through showing people that even in our darkest moments, we're still worthy of love, of grace, of redemption. Khloe takes a deep breath, the weight of the conversation sitting heavily on her shoulders, but also lifting something within her. Exactly. I don't think I ever truly understood that until that night I watched Keanu's video. That was when I realized that the struggle, the hurt, it doesn't make me less than anyone. It makes me human. The audience watches in silence, hanging on to every word, as if they too are being reminded of their own humanity. Khloe's voice cracks a little, but she holds it together, her strength undeniable. I've been through a lot, you know, but I'm still here, and I have faith that every step, every tear, every mistake, it's all part of something bigger. That's what Keanu showed me. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about using it to grow, to connect, and to help others. Ellen's expression is one of deep admiration as she leans forward, her voice low and sincere. You've just given us all a beautiful reminder of something so simple, yet so powerful. That we don't have to have everything figured out to matter. That we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and respect. Khloe looks at Ellen, a quiet tear slipping down her cheek, but it's not one of sadness. It's a tear of release, of understanding, of healing. It's just like Keanu said. He said, if you're still breathing, it means God's not finished with you yet. And I think that's the most important thing I've learned. No matter what we go through, there's always hope. There's always a reason to keep going. The room is completely still. Everyone is holding their breath, the silence heavy with the weight of Khloe's words. Ellen's voice breaks the stillness, soft and full of reverence. Thank you, Khloe, for sharing that with us, for showing us that it's okay to be vulnerable, to admit our pain, and to still believe that we can heal. You've just given everyone watching the gift of hope. And that, my dear, is something powerful. Khloe smiles, wiping her tears, her face glowing with a mix of strength and peace. Thank you, Ellen. I just hope that someone watching right now going through their own struggle hears this and remembers that they're not alone, that there's always something to fight for. As Khloe finishes her words, the camera zooms out, and the audience slowly starts to clap, a gentle and appreciative sound that builds into a standing ovation. It's not just applause for Khloe, but for the message she has shared, the healing that has taken place in front of everyone. The camera fades to black, but the words still linger. If you're still breathing, it means God's not finished with you yet. And for everyone watching, that's the reminder they needed.